Welcome to the deep dive. You've given us your sources. And, well, our job, as always, is to cut through the noise, get straight to the key insights for you, the learner.
Exactly. We know you want to get informed quickly, thoroughly, without feeling totally overwhelmed.
And that's what we're doing today. Our focus. It's
Yeah.
the art and, the science behind punching, all drawn from Geoff Thompson's book, Real Punching.
And Thompson, he isn't just talking theory, is he?
Not at all. This is a guy, over 20 books on martial arts, self-defense. He's been the BBC's expert, taught police, Royal Marine Commandos.
Bodyguard training, too, I think.
Yeah, and get this 9 years as a nightclub doorman. Talk about a real-world lab.
Absolutely. That practical side, that's what makes his takes so compelling, I think. He's seen what actually works, under pressure.
Right. So when we dig into punching with him, we're getting insights grounded in, reality.
It's not just theory in a dojo.
Precisely. And look, our aim isn't just a quick look at making a fist. Thompson peels back layers, technique, strategy, application stuff most people just don't think about.
Yeah, there's some genuinely surprising stuff in there. Immediately useful knowledge, too.
Okay, so let's jump right in.
Yeah.
The bedrock, body mechanics.
Mm.
Thompson is, super emphatic on
That
this.
really hammers it home.
Your fist.
Yeah.
It's just the tool, the bullet, he calls it.
Right, the bullet.
The real power, the gun that comes from your entire body. It's this whole idea of punching your weight.
Using your full body mass, channeling it. And it starts, he says, with the hip and the hara.
That's your center of gravity, right?
Yeah.
Around the belly button area.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
concept you see across a lot of martial arts, isn't it? The core being the powerhouse.
It's about efficiency, really. Using those big muscles, core, legs, not just, your arms.
Exactly. Drives the whole movement.
Okay, so let's unpack this hip movement.
Hmm.
Say you're in an orthodox stance, left leg forward. Yeah.
Standard for right-handers.
For a right cross, that right hip has got to drive forward, kind of follows the fist.
And for a left hook, same stance.
Left hip move back, then around, again, follows the punch's path. But he's clear, this isn't just automatic.
No, it takes practice to get it right. It's coordination.
Totally. Like parts of an engine working together. If your hip timing's off too early, too late.
Or if you don't extend enough, or maybe even too much.
You lose power. Could lose your balance too.
Yeah.
And you can't just focus on the hips, right? Got to keep your eyes on the target.
Great point. It's intricate. Not just the big hip movement, but syncing it perfectly with the arm the moment of impact.
Yeah, it's holistic. You focus too much on one bit, you mess up another.
Exactly. The whole kinetic chain.
Right. And then he brings in kime. What is that exactly? Like a body focus.
Yeah. Think of it as a sudden tensing of the whole body right at the moment the punch lands.
Okay, like a split-second clench.
Exactly. And it massively boosts the force. But the timing.
Has to be perfect,
Yeah.
right? Sync with that hip drive. Too soon, too late, and you lose the effect.
Spot on. So you've got the hip thrust, the kime tension, the impact, all converging in that single instant.
If they're even slightly off, Thompson says, forget it. You won't get the power you're looking for.
It's fascinating how he breaks down something seemingly simple, like a punch, into these, separate but totally connected parts.
Shows the level of refinement needed, doesn't it? It's not just swinging wildly.
It's a meticulously orchestrated energy transfer.
Okay, so for the greedy ones, as he calls them,
The ones who want even more power.
there's this advanced thing, traveling. And no, it's not punching on your commute.
Right. It means adding a step or a shuffle with the punch.
Exactly. You're layering your body's momentum onto the hip thrust and the kime. So orthodox stance, right cross,
You'd step forward with the left leg.
followed right away by the right rear leg, all coordinated with that hip rotation and the kime focus at impact.
Sounds simple enough on paper, but
He's quick to say it's not. Step too close or not close enough, your distance is off,
kills the power or you miss altogether.
and the step timing before or after the punch lands. You lose that forward momentum.
And if you step too slow, you're basically telling your opponent what you're doing.
Yeah, telegraphing it. Makes it easy to counter.
That added complexity of traveling, it really separates a static punch from a dynamic one. Needs even more coordination.
Oh, absolutely. You're managing your balance, your center of gravity, while trying to land a precise, powerful hit. Takes serious practice.
Definitely requires mastering the basics first.
It does. And Thompson admits, writing all this down makes punching seem incredibly complicated.
Yeah, you could get bogged down in the details.
But he says once you get the principles, how the body generates power, it becomes more intuitive. He even uses that Bruce Lee quote.
The punch is just a punch one.
That's the one. Before I started training, a punch was just a punch. When I started, a punch was no longer just a punch. Now that I understand. A punch is, again, just a punch.
It perfectly sums up mastery, doesn't it? You break it down, understand it deeply, then it becomes simple again, but on a whole new level.
Effortless, almost. Couldn't agree more. Okay, so shifting from power mechanics. Thompson really hammers home the stance. It's fundamental.
Says flat out, a bad stance means weak punches. No way around it.
He focuses on two main ones. Orthodox left leg leading, for righties usually.
And southpaw right leg leading, generally for lefties.
And the logic is strategic, right?
Yeah.
Keep your stronger hand, your power hand at the rear.
Yeah, like protecting your queen and chess, ready to bring out the big gun when needed.
Good analogy. The lead hand probes, sets things up.
Finds range, creates openings.
Okay, let's really dig into the orthodox stance then, since it's more common. Thompson gets super specific. Foot position.
Lead, left foot slightly inward, toes gripping. Rear right foot also inward, but on the ball of the foot.
Why on the ball?
Helps with quick movement, hip rotation.
Right. Feet shoulder width apart, angled about 45 degrees. He says that angle's crucial for balance.
Knees bent slightly. Torso also turned 45 degrees.
To protect the solar plexus, minimize the target.
Elbows tight to the body, shielding the ribs, kidneys. Fists up at jaw level.
Head tilted slightly, chin tucked down. He even mentions hunching the shoulders a bit for extra chin protection.
And keep the fists relaxed until impact. Palms inward. Saves energy.
Good point. And southpaw is
Yeah, a mirror image of all of that.
What stands out is how that stance is both offensive and defensive, isn't it?
Totally. Every part serves a purpose. Power generation, movement, protection. It's a ready position.
Exactly. And he stresses maintaining that balance. If you're off balance,
You're just asking for trouble. Easy target.
He admits experienced fighters might vary the guard, but they have to know they might be exposing their jaw.
And if your guard does drop,
Bring the shoulder that relaxed arm up. Instant backup shield for the chin. And his big rule, never drop both hands at once.
always keep on guarding the jaw. Constant vigilance. Even when you're not punching, the guard is key.
Okay, let's get into the individual punches. Starting with the jab, often underestimated, right?
Hugely. People think it's just a weak setup punch.
But Thompson argues it's way more. It's fundamental, the driving force behind everything else. And he looks at it across different styles. Karate, kung fu, boxing.
Yeah, that comparison is really insightful. Shows the common ground, but also the unique flavors each style brings.
Right. So karate jab often comes from a low guard, or the hip, that hikate movement.
With a twist of the fist and torso at impact.
Yeah. And the other hand pulls back sharply to the opposite hip. But he points out that hikate move,
Can leave you open, right? Upper body, face more vulnerable.
especially compared to, say, the boxing style. The retracting hand in karate is a big difference. Maybe helps power or speed for the next shot, but definitely a defensive trade-off.
Seems like a different philosophy, maybe. Prioritizing the single strike.
Could be. Then, kung fu. Similar in ways. Fist is usually straight, palm in, lands with the bottom three knuckles.
Instead of the top two, which is more common in boxing.
Right. No fist twist, usually, but he notes the hip rotation tends to be a bit more than in karate.
Interesting. The bottom three knuckles thing might be about force transmission, wrist alignment theories, more linear approach too.
Finally, the boxer. Thompson's pretty blunt here. He says boxers really get the jab. Use it maybe 90% of the time.
Wow, 90%.
Execution is similar, but the key difference.
The guard. Punches from a tight guard, retracts right back to it, protects the jaw. No akatari.
And Thompson concludes that's the most proficient, most defensively sound way. The takeaway seems to be that trade-off, offense versus defense.
Yeah, the boxing jab balances both really well. Constant protection, plus it's ready for quick follow-ups.
He then talks about what the jab does. Finding openings, obviously, setting up the power shots.
But also stunning or weakening the opponent with sharp, fast ones.
And he says a harder jab can do real damage, even get a knockout. Or, interestingly, keep someone who's rushing you at bay. Maintain distance.
Skilled fighters use double, even triple jabs too, right? Catches people off guard.
Exactly. Once that jab opens things up, the cross and hook can exploit it. It's so versatile. Distance control, probing, setting up, damaging. It's the cornerstone.
Absolutely. The foundation for so much else.
Now, the basic textbook jab, he says, is mid-range. Straight line, small hip twist at impact. Kind of stinging.
Limited reach and power, though.
Right, but then the variations. Long-range jab, way more reach and power.
Yeah. Maximum hip rotation. Actively pushing the hura forward, maybe 45 degrees.
Okay. Then the lean jabs. Right lean jab. Weight shifts forward, down, bit to the right.
Once you throw it upwards, under the chin. Surprise attack because they expect it straight.
And the left lean jag. Lean forward and left. Same idea, aiming under the chin from an unexpected angle. Need to straighten the back leg for this one.
But he advises not twisting the fist on that left lean jab. Right. Because of the angle.
Yeah, exactly. These variations show how you can adapt it. Tactical flexibility. The lean jabs especially highlight using body position for sneaky attacks.
Definitely adds layers to a seemingly simple punch.
Finally, he really pushes training the jab. Practice it way more than other punches 4 or 5 times as much.
And use light punching weights in shadow boxing.
Yeah, to build speed and endurance in that jabbing hand. That repetition is key for mastery.
Makes sense. Builds that muscle memory and endurance.
All right, next up, the right cross. Thompson calls it the most favored punch, the classic knockout blow.
Sees it a lot in martial arts comps as the reverse punch. Scores points reliably.
But also sees it everywhere in street fights. Maybe less refined. For a righty, it's often the instinctive go-to, the old faithful.
He even calls it his own six-gun in self-defense situations. Having that reliable punch you trust under pressure is huge.
Definitely a psychological edge.
Yeah.
But relying on it too much, being predictable.
That's a weakness too, absolutely.
So again, comparing styles. Karate cross, thrown constantly, almost reflexively, often from low guard or hikate.
Sharp retraction of the other hand, twisting both fists, hip thrusts forward.
But the rear foot often stays flat. For balance, maybe? He says that limits the hip engagement, limits traveling.
Right, sacrifices some power transfer and mobility for stability. Different priorities, perhaps.
Kung Fu, similar technique, but less hikate generally. And they're more likely to pivot the rear foot on the ball.
Which allows more hip involvement, faster traveling.
Yeah, and they tend to use the bottom 3 knuckles, no fist twist.
That pivoting foot aligns with a more dynamic approach. More rotational force.
Than the boxer. They hold the cross in high regard, but use it more strategically for the KO.
And the fist position changes with range.
Exactly. Straight fist close up, half twist mid-range, full twist long range. Try to break the skin, maximize damage.
And it needs to be explosive, right? Often set up by the jab.
Yeah, bounces off other punches.
Oh.
Their strategic use, saving it for the right moment, shows a different tactical mindset. Optimizing impact at different distances.
Definitely more calculated.
Thompson then hits on common flaws. Martial artists often pull shoulders down when throwing the cross.
Exposes the chin badly.
Right. Boxers, ironically, often hunch shoulders up to protect the chin.
But that can mean punching more from the shoulder, less power from the core.
So he suggests a middle ground. Keep the shoulder hunch for protection, but consciously drive the power from the hara, the core.
Finding that balance between protection and power, it's a constant theme.
And he's absolutely insistent, always protect your chin. Non-negotiable.
Makes sense. Critical target.
Okay, correct technique for the cross.
Yeah.
Use your whole body weight. Drive the right hip forward with the punch. Hip fully extends right as the fist hits the target.
Ideally the jaw.
And practice it independently. Don't just rely on the jab setting it up because that makes it predictable.
An unexpected independent cross can get through the guard easier.
Especially effective against someone moving forward at you. Their momentum adds to the impact.
And in self-defense, that first solid independent punch can be decisive.
He also says practice throwing it without a traditional guard up sometimes. Raising your guard instantly can telegraph your intent if you need a preemptive strike.
Good point. That element of surprise is huge outside the ring. Disrupts their rhythm.
Okay, let's move to hooks. Thompson finds them interesting. They're maybe the most natural punch, instinctively.
Yeah, in untrained fights you see loads of wild swinging hooks. Often missing, though.
Right, but weirdly, despite being natural, he says they're often harder to teach effectively in training.
Huh. That is surprising.
But once mastered. Incredibly potent. Big power, big speed, especially close range.
And he argues they have maybe even more KO potential than other punches?
Yeah, because the target area of the jawline, ear to chin, is bigger. About 5 or 6 inches.
Ah, so a straight punch needs pinpoint accuracy on the jaw, but a hook has a bit more margin for error to get that knockout effect.
Exactly. That contrast, natural instinct versus difficult to teach, suggests refining that instinct needs specific work.
Harnessing the power correctly, not just wildly swinging.
Okay, style comparison again. Hooks rarely thrown in sparring or competition. Might see them hidden in kata sometimes.
And when they do appear, it's often with that same downward shoulder hikate retraction.
Yeah. Thompson thinks if karate folks used hooks more, it'd be a huge boost to their arsenal.
Maybe reflects karate's focus on linear strikes, more structured combat, but they're aware of it if it's in kaita.
Kung Fu, though, seems to use a broader range, including hooks. He links this to their training, often more continuous flowing sparring.
Compared to the stop-start he often sees in karate training. So the fluid sparring helps develop attacks from different angles.
That seems to be his take. More dynamic environment.
Makes sense.
Boxers. Huge fans of the hook. Staple technique. Thrown from a high guard, retracted back to guard.
And there's a difference between amateur and pro hooks.
Yeah, amateurs usually keep the elbow level with the fist, twist the palm down on impact. Good body weight transfer.
Pros tend to keep the elbow slightly lower, no twist, palm facing inwards towards them.
Right. And Thompson says both methods work. It's often just personal preference what feels best.
Interesting. Subtle differences, probably refined through experience, maybe optimizing speed versus leverage. Good to know there's not just one right way.
Okay, let's break down the hook itself. Left hook from the lead leg, orthodox. He calls this advanced high KO potential if you master it.
Aimed at the jaw, needs that full body weight transfer.
And he says all hooks should feel like a slap with the knuckles, not the flat hand.
Okay. How do you get max power on that left hook?
Sequence is key. First, shift weight. Push right hip forward and slightly left. Keep eyes locked on the jaw.
Then, as you throw the punch,
Pull the right hip back and immediately drive the left hip sharply across to the right, following the fist. Full follow-through.
wow, that's a specific sequence. Really shows the full body engagement, not just an arm punch at all.
Totally leverages the legs and core.
And the right hook from the rear leg.
Also very potent, maybe a bit more accessible. Same slap with the knuckles idea.
Semicircular motion outside to inside.
Yeah, while sharply thrusting the right hip forward with the punch. Full follow-through again.
And practice both from on-guard and no-guard positions.
Definitely. He thinks in a street fight, a well-timed hook can be a great opener because of the KO potential.
Whereas in the gym, maybe better set up by straight punches like the jab to create openings.
Right. The right hook's accessibility makes it useful. That trajectory gets around guards, and the hip drive gives it power, even without a big windup.
Good weapon to have.
Moving on. Uppercuts. Thompson says these are powerful, but really for more advanced punchers. Not for novices.
Why's that?
Need great timing, excellent body control. And because you usually have to get close.
You're vulnerable coming in. Takes courage, calculated risk.
Exactly. The risk-reward element is high. Needs precision.
Okay, comparing styles again.
Karate. Uppercut-like moves might be in kata, but generally not taught or used much in sparring.
Kung Fu uses them more than karate, but still not a primary weapon.
That's his observation. But Western boxing, uppercut is one of the 4 fundamental punches.
And versatile, too. Short, long range, body, head.
Yeah. Experienced fighters score KOs with it. That upward angle often slips under the opponent's radar.
Comes up through the center of the guard or as a counter inside their attack.
Right. Boxing seems to have integrated it most fully, understanding how it exploits those lower gaps.
Makes sense given their focus on punching mechanics.
Okay, technique specifics. Left uppercut from the lead leg, orthodox, aimed at the jaw. Needs correct execution for power.
How's that done?
First, shift weight again. Push right hip forward and slightly left. Also bend the knees slightly, get lower than the target.
Okay, then throw the left fist.
Upward arc, twisting it so the palm faces inward on impact. Simultaneously retract the right hip back. Push up from the crouch.
Driving the left hip forward and up with the punch. Full follow through.
Got it. Again, it's this intricate sequence, full body, generating power from the ground up. The fist twist might be about knuckle alignment for upward strikes.
Definitely requires coordination.
Right uppercut from the rear leg, very similar mechanics. Bend knees, throw right fist up, twist palm inward on impact.
Push up with legs, thrust right hip forward and up with the punch, follow through.
Yep. And he notes its street application, even from a relaxed, no-guard stance. Potential surprise attack.
And you can use the other hand to pull them down into it.
Yeah, grab their clothing, pull down, creates a better target, adds that practical, non-sporting element.
Good tactical point for real-world scenarios.
Now, quick but vital point, breathing. Thompson stresses this for every punch.
Consciously exhale as you throw it, through nose or mouth.
Yeah, helps regulate breathing overall, gets oxygen to muscles, and really boosts that the body tension.
Right, that exhalation power link is classic martial arts. Helps focus the effort, release tension at impact.
Okay, let's talk footwork. Often overlooked, but Thompson says it's just as critical as punching itself.
Calls bad footwork crippling, like a blood clot for your offense.
Huh. Vivid analogy. The basic steps might seem simple, but coordinating them seamlessly with punches, that takes real practice.
Needs to look smooth, fluid, small steps, keeping feet shoulder width apart for balance.
And stay on the balls of your feet mostly for quick, agile movement.
Footwork is the foundation, right? Mobility, stability, creating angles, controlling distance, generating power efficiently.
Absolutely. Okay, basic patterns, orthodox stance. To move left,
Left foot leads, then right follows.
the right.
Right foot leads, then left.
Forward.
Left foot first, then right.
Backward.
Right foot steps back first, then left.
And he warns, don't mess up that sequence, or your feet meet or cross.
And boom, off balance. Always lead with the foot on the side you're moving toward.
Feet should glide, not lift too much. Keep that stable 45-degree stance as you move.
Preserves weight distribution, balance, lets you attack or defend from the new spot.
He specifically advises against punching while moving sideways, except maybe a jab to the left, kills balance and power.
Forward movement is for attacking, traveling. Backward is more defensive, creating space.
Rightward lateral movement is mainly for evasion, repositioning. His core principle is simple. Move, stop, strike.
Yeah, need that stable base to launch attacks from. Punching while shifting weight compromises power and balance.
So, how to practice? Start slow, meticulous, just the foot patterns, no punches yet.
Move around a punch bag or a partner, clockwise, counterclockwise, always leading correctly.
Once that feels comfortable, then integrate single, then double punches. Build up to combos. Develop that hand-foot sync.
That progressive approach makes sense. Build the foundation first. Develop coordination, muscle memory.
Okay, now this is really interesting. Angular punches. Thompson talks about watching boxing and seeing punches that weren't quite straight, hook or uppercut.
And even experienced boxers couldn't always name them, though they used them instinctively.
Right. He figured out these are angular or cross punches, basically hybrids falling between the standard types.
His analogy is like a shoe shop with only 3 sizes versus one with infinite sizes.
Exactly. Basic punches are the limited sizes. Angular punches let you exploit any opening, no matter how slight the angle.
So not just straight or fully curved, you tweak a straight punch slightly sideways or upward to sneak around a guard.
That's the idea. He provides this map or graph to visualize it.
Opens up huge tactical possibilities, more nuanced, hitting specific spots you couldn't otherwise reach.
So his graph, 0, is pure straight punches and vertical uppercuts. 10 is a standard hook.
11 and 12 are overhand hooks, the looping ones.
And 1 through 9 are the angled variations in between. Left side for left punches, right side for right.
Okay, give an example. Right cross.
Starts at 0, perfectly straight. If path's blocked, angle it slightly to 1, introduces a bit of hook.
Keep going to 2, 3, 4, it becomes more of a hooked cross.
Right, 5 is the break point, more hook than straight now, a crossed hook.
Then 6 through 9 get increasingly hooked until 10 is the conventional right hook.
And the reverse is true too. A hook can get straighter towards 0. Same system applies to uppercuts, becoming hooked uppercuts, then hooks.
And left jabs mirror the right cross pattern on the other side. That graph really helps visualize the transitions, categorizes the infinite variations.
He even mentions minor angle numbers between the main ones for even finer tuning. Says almost every punch in a real fight has some slight angle variation.
Wow. Then he layers distance onto this.
Yeah. Mid-range, on the 3 on his scale, is most common. Long and short ranges need more skill for bodyweight transfer.
And the smaller lines between angles can also mean minor distance adjustments.
Right. It's not just the angle, but the distance you throw it from, and how that changes technique and power. Adds another layer of complexity.
Definitely refines the art.
He then details how straights, hooks, uppercuts change at different ranges. Fist twist on a straight punch varies short, mid, long.
Short hooks use more body power, long hooks straighter arm, more fist rotation.
Yeah. Uppercuts can be traditional, upward, or straighter, more like a cross. Traditional ones might adjust wrist bend at longer ranges.
And he advises practicing these around the clock, on a bag, shadow boxing, varying the distance.
Strongly. Got to get that feel, develop the muscle memory for these subtle but effective techniques.
Makes sense. Need that practical application, not just theory.
Okay, shifting gears to tactics. Drawing techniques. He uses that spider and fly analogy.
Tempting the opponent into a trap, like sacrificing a pawn in chess to get the king.
Method 1. Deliberately show a gap in your defense. Drop or lift your guard slightly. Bait them.
They attack the opening and you hit them with your prepared counter.
Exactly, like raise your guard to bait a low cross, then smash them with a high cross when their jaw is open.
He even suggests letting them succeed once or twice first.
Yeah, lulls them into false security. Makes the trap work even better later. It's psychological warfare mixed with the physical.
Understanding their tendencies and using them against them. Clever.
Method 2. Feign tiredness or injury. Act exhausted, maybe favor a limb.
Entice them to rush in for the easy kill, then surprise them.
Right. Or throw weak telegraph shots deliberately to encourage a counter you're ready for.
Like a sloppy jab to provoke a right cross you can slip and counter with a hook.
Perfect example. He stresses tailoring the draw to the opponent. Offensive fighters might bite on feigned weakness. Defensive ones might need to see a clear opening.
And the best way to master this is sparring with different partners. Experimenting.
Yep, see what works against different styles. Need that live feedback? Adapting strategy is fundamental.
Requires keen awareness and anticipation.
Next up, feints. Closely related to draws, like brothers, he says.
Draw encourages them to attack a false weakness. Feint pretends you're attacking one spot.
To make them guard it, then you hit somewhere else that's now open. He quotes Bruce Lee again.
The master of the feint wins when skills are equal.
That's it. Example. Feint low, they drop their hands, you hit high.
Yeah.
Or feint high, they raise their guard, you hit low.
Any combo works as long as it flows and exploits the opening the feint creates.
It's all about manipulating their focus and reaction. Create a false threat, distract them, open up vulnerabilities.
Crucial element of deception.
Thompson explains why they work so well. The feint draws the guard away. The real blow hits an unguarded spot.
And because their mind is on the feint, they're mentally unprepared too.
Right? He says unseen blows do the most damage. Good practice. Land the real punch a few times first.
So they're more likely to block when you use it as a feint later. Makes sense. Increases the chance the real follow-up lands clean.
And because blocking is often instinctive, a good feint can work multiple times in a fight.
That psychological conditioning aspect is cool. Play with their expectations.
He gives examples. Low left jab feint, high right cross, KO potential, high left jab settle, low right cross hook, double triple jab feints.
Low right cross, feint, high left hook. Low left jab, high left hook. Harder, but high KO chance.
Key is near simultaneous execution of feint and real punch. Even shoulder flicks can work as minor feints.
Those examples really show how to create openings for power shots by mixing levels. Forces them to guess.
Let's talk combinations. Thompson says springing punches together smoothly is a learned art.
Each punch has to flow into the next, maintaining balance, body weight transfer, timing, distance, accuracy.
And aiming for open, vulnerable spots, avoiding their guard or ineffective areas.
And each punch should ideally prime the next one. Like a left hook flows well after a right cross, but maybe a right hook wouldn't.
Exactly. The goal is automatic combos, executed from muscle memory without thinking. Like a computer data recall, he says.
How do you learn that?
Start simple. 2-punch combos. Gradually increase length and complexity. Practice lots of variations to build memory and adaptability.
Like the jab cross or cross hook to start, then building up.
Yeah, he gives examples from 2 punches up to 7-punch flurries. Shows how each flows and leaves you positioned for the next. Encourages creating your own too.
And bag work is the best practice method.
He reckons so. Start light, short sequences. Gradually get faster, more complex. Then try improvising, ad-libbing on the bag.
Builds that rhythm and flow safely. Good progression. Develops proficiency and adaptability.
Okay, shifting focus, defense, and counterattacks. Just as vital as offense.
Using blocks and evasions not just to protect, but to create chances to hit back.
Though he also makes the point, especially for self-defense, often the best defense is a good offense. A decisive attack.
That proactive defense idea. Disrupt their momentum, put them on the back foot.
He details defenses and counters specifically for the jab, since it's the most common punch. Things like
Lead hand parry, reverse hand parry, guard block, left shoulder block.
the duck, bending knees under it, the slip, head movement inside-outside, lay back, moving just out of range, step back.
And for each defense, there are potential counters. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut to head or body.
Yeah, depending on the opening created. Yeah. And ideally, counter simultaneously with the defense.
That comprehensive list really highlights the jab's importance. Each defense offers different advantages for countering.
And he says many of these defenses work against other straight punches too, like the cross, and even hooks and uppercuts to some extent.
But there are nuances for the cross. Need a more extreme slip, maybe.
Yeah. And he introduces the open hand thrust, pushing their bicep forearm to stop the punch, disrupt power, create an opening.
Interesting alternative. Shows you need to understand each punch's trajectory.
Defending hooks. He stresses evasion, like the bob and weave, more than static blocks.
Bob left under a right hook, right under a left hook, then counter with jab, cross hook, uppercut.
Right. Though guard blocks, ducks, laybacks, step backs, even the thrust can also work against hooks.
Evasion makes sense for hooks. Their circular path can get around blocks. Bobbing gets your head off the line, creates angles.
Against uppercuts.
Yeah.
Primarily a tight, high guard block, because they're usually close range.
Followed by immediate short-range counters, jab or cross.
Yeah. And always be ready to follow up with more combos if the defense creates a bigger opening.
The limited defenses highlight the uppercut's danger up close. Need that tight guard? Quick response.
And Thompson repeats. Practice all these defenses and counters relentlessly. Make them instinctive.
Tailor them to your strengths. Experiment safely in training first. Build that technique and confidence.
Absolutely crucial. Which leads us to hand sparring. Road testing your techniques, he calls it.
But don't rush into full contact. Use his pyramid approach.
Yeah. 4 stages. Preset, restricted, light skill, and heavy sparring. All are valuable. Practice them regularly.
Smart progression. Build skills and confidence step by step.
Preset is the base. One partner attacks with a chosen punch combo, the other blocks, evades, and counters as planned.
Repeat specific sequences to build competence and confidence.
Exactly. Gradually increase attack intensity. Keep counters controlled initially. Then the defender can start improvising responses, making reactions automatic. Great for basics, distance, timing, confidence.
Focuses on specific techniques without the chaos. Good foundation.
Next, restricted sparring. Limit the engagement somehow.
Like only jabs. Or one person only attacks, the other only defends. Light or heavy contact.
Right. Isolates techniques or scenarios for focused work. Jab-only sparring is a great example he gives for improving that punch fast.
Good way to drill weaknesses or hone specific skills by limiting variables.
Then, light skill sparring. Restrictions mostly gone, anything goes. Except heavy contact.
Focuses on fluid technique, strategy, building confidence for full contact. Less injury risk allows more practice time.
Exactly. Experiment with combos, footwork, tactics without fear of getting hurt badly. Develop creativity and flow.
Makes sense. Bridges the gap.
Finally, the top, heavy sparring. The proof of the pudding. Needs heavier gloves, 12-15 ounces.
The ultimate test against a resisting opponent. Mistakes get punished.
Yep. He notes jabs and crosses often become your go-to initially. Tests your bottle resilience, handling pressure, impact.
What if you get overwhelmed?
Cover up, grab, and hold. Use footwork to escape. Regular heavy sparring is key for realism. Use protective gear, gloves, headgear, mouth guard.
Theory meets reality. Tests technique, conditioning, mental toughness under pressure. Learn from mistakes.
Okay, let's switch focus. Hands versus feet. Thompson references J.F. Gilby. Puncher usually beats kicker if they close the distance.
But kicker dominates with space. Danger for the puncher is getting kicked while moving in.
So Thompson's tactic. Let them kick, block, or evade, then move in as their leg retracts.
Also notes kickers often drop their guard when kicking. Potential opening.
And says turning kicks, like roundhouse, are often easier to deal with defensively than straight kicks, like front kicks.
It's all about range control, isn't it? Puncher needs to negate reach, get inside safely.
He gives specific defenses. Against a front kick, elbow block the shin, counter cross hook uppercut.
Or gedambari, downward block inside calf. Or sodabari, outside calf. Move rear foot, counter cross hook uppercut.
Yeah. Closing down, punching the mid-kick is risky, needs timing, beware of traps. Layback, move back, counter on retraction, also need to be wary.
Against straight spinning back kick, safest is layback step back, counter on retraction.
Or a risky, well-timed close down before it extends fully. Sidekick defenses, similar. Gedambari, sodabari, layback, guard block, absorb, lean in, counter, or close down.
And turning kicks? Roundhouse, back roundhouse, spinning back roundhouse, crescent.
General idea.
Yeah.
Absorb on a tight guard, counter on retraction. Except the spinning back roundhouse, too powerful. Use layback, step back, or close down for that one.
He gives specific blocks for body face roundhouses, too.
Yeah, guard blocks for body, palm blocks for face kicks. Always counter on retraction. Recommends practicing hand versus feet in preset restricted sparring.
Makes sense. Understand the mechanics of each kick to neutralize it in counter.
Now, hands versus grappling. Gilby thinks grappler usually wins, but Thompson adds nuance. Depends if the puncher knows any grappling.
If the puncher knows nothing about grappling, they're likely in trouble. Grappler will eat punches to close distance.
Pretty much. Key for the puncher. Don't let him get a grip. Grappling range is close, sticky. Hard to strike effectively once grabbed.
So maintain distance. Footwork, long-range straight punches, hit and move.
Exactly. If they get closer, use short-range stuff, uppercuts, hooks, still hit and move,
Yeah.
sideways, circles, vary direction.
Grapplers often have open guards, targets for punches, but they're tough, used to pain.
Yeah. Keep combos short, 2 to 4 punches max to avoid being stationary. Uppercuts are good when they reach for a grip. Hit, move.
Never shorten the distance yourself. Strike as they come in, then move away, repeat.
That's the strategy. He even mentions targeting fingers up close. Don't get discouraged if punches don't seem to work immediately. Good fighters hide pain. Be persistent.
Grapplers' advantage outside grappling range is often intimidation. They just keep coming, trying to wear you down.
Yep. Best practice. Restricted sparring again. Puncher versus grappler. Start light, build to all out. Puncher wears 16-ounce gloves.
And learn some basic grappling defense, or read his grappling book. Understand the different ranges and disciplines.
Okay, now for cheeky shots. A bit controversial, maybe?
Thompson admits he's good at them. Cheap shots. He says the label doesn't matter as much as effectiveness.
Basically, hitting someone when they don't expect it or are distracted. Ungentlemanly in the dojo, maybe, but common on the street.
He argues many real fights are won or lost this way. Examples.
Eye distraction. Look behind them. Feigning exhaustion injury. Slap their leg, then jab the head. Point up, then hit low. Slow step, drop guard, then explode. Pretend to adjust gear, then strike.
Wow, element of surprise in psychological games.
Yeah.
Opportunistic, unpredictable.
He says adapt them for dojo or street. Can be the difference between winning and losing.
Definitely highlights the difference between sport and reality.
Now for a technical bit. The double hip, explained by Peter Consterdine. Thompson calls this a revelation in Shukakai karate.
Influenced by Kimura sensei questioning old methods, studying biomechanics from other sports.
Right. Consterdine says the key to power is a whipping action, like throwing, not just pushing. Traditional idea of turning hip with the hand simultaneously. Problematic.
Why? Pulling back the other side creates opposing force, reduces forward momentum.
Exactly. The better way.
Yeah.
Hip whips back, then forward violently while the arm lags slightly, recoiling in the shoulder. Split action.
Pivot point shifts from center axis to the lead hip like a door hinge.
Yeah. Weight shifts over lead leg, that becomes the pivot. Power transfers through shoulder recoil and arm extension. Goal is putting all body weight behind the fist naturally.
Like shot put, javelin, tennis serve, golf swing.
Similar mechanics. Relaxation is key. Avoid stiffness. Allow shoulder recoil. Very effective for close-range power, especially body shots.
Can work even from relaxed hands, belt level, arm pistons alongside ribs, no lateral elbow movement.
Right. Back leg must come forward. Relaxed stance helps. Power comes from pulling whipping of front leg hip, not pushing from rear.
Power source is the midsection, the core. Arm shoulders just transmit it. Through that fast whipping double hip around the late hip hinge.
That's the concept. Body shot can be devastating. Same idea, faster, shorter for the jaw.
Provides a biomechanical basis for max power. Sequential actions, weight transfer.
Finally, training equipment. Punching is an apprenticeship, needs tools. He recommends.
Focus pads, hook and jab ones, good for accuracy, power, distance, angle.
He just calls them potent.
Yeah.
That target spot gives great feedback. Excellent for KO power. Need a partner holding them correctly, forces footwork.
Top and bottom ball, floor to ceiling.
Fantastic for timing, distance, closest thing to a live opponent's movement. Practice jabs, crosses, hooks, even uppercuts. Advanced. Adjustable, rebounds, realistically.
And the punch bag, oldest method.
Still the best for raw power, he thinks. Also good for technique, stamina, combo punching. Less so for pinpoint accuracy.
But despite all the gear.
Best practice is still a live partner. Dynamic exchange, communication, feedback on feel, realism, power. Nothing beats it.
Each tool has its place, right? Pads for accuracy power, ball for timing, reflexes, bag for power endurance. But live sparring integrates everything.
So wrapping this deep dive up, it's clear, effective punching is way more than just throwing a fist, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's intricate body mechanics, strategic stances, varied techniques, tactical thinking, drawing, feinting, and lots of dedicated training.
And Thompson makes a strong case. Your own two hands are your most immediate, accessible, effective self-defense tools.
What's really great about his approach is how he connects the physical mechanics with the strategic and tactical side. It's holistic, mind and body working together.
Couldn't agree more. Which brings us to our final thought for you, the learner, as you've taken in all this from Geoff Thompson's Real Punching.
Think about how these principles, body mechanics, strategic engagement, leverage, might apply beyond just fighting.
Right. How could understanding leverage, focusing intention, maybe developing your own jab or cross or feint lead to more impact elsewhere? Daily interactions work.
Anywhere focused action and understanding leverage helps. What are your readily available tools, skills, knowledge, resources?
And how can you use them with more intention, more precision, more skill to get the results you want? Something to chew on.